November 10th meeting of Des Moines Park and Recreation Board will come to order, please. Rebecca, would you call the roll, please?
Galloway.
Here.
Gilb.
Here.
Facto. Here. Keeney Vanderhaar.
Here.
Nolan.
Here.
Hassick.
Here.
George.
Here.
Scaville.
Here.
Thornton.
Here.
Jungle Ward.
Here. We have a quorum. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome not one, but two new park board members. Dan Pasick and Joe Jungle Ward, who is the school board representative. So, big welcome to both of you. Glad to have you on board. Now with that, we'll move on to the agenda. Is there any suggestions to change the agenda? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Next, we'll move on to the Sprite Spark Park presentation.
Thank you, Jill, and try not to say that really fast.
Right, it's a tongue twister.
As a lot of you may know that we've talked about in the past, we applied for a grant through the Coca-Cola Beverage Company through the Sprite Spark Park program, and Evelyn K. Davis was awarded a $15,000 grant. A brief details here before we have our speaker talk, take a few minutes and describe this, is that the voting took place March 28th through May 31st. Davis Park received just under 38,500 votes from our community and around the country. It was the final city to receive a $15,000 grant, and it beat out cities such as Chicago, Seattle, Dallas, Los Angeles, and Miami. This is the second grant our department has received. Cheatham Park was awarded $20,000 earlier this year. We have a nice program at the park with Coca-Cola Beverage Company. And today we have with us John Otterbach, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the Atlantic Coca-Cola Bottling Company.
Good evening. And as Mr. Page had indicated, I'm John Otterbach from Atlantic Bottling Company. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present to you, first and foremost, the check, but then to describe a little bit about the Sprite Parks Park program. As was indicated, it's a grant that the Coca-Cola Company presents, and the foundation helps support active lifestyle, primarily to our youth, to get them outside active and to revitalize some of the parks throughout the communities in the country. I'm joined here today by several representatives from Atlantic Bottling Company, Coca-Cola, Tony Don from the Coca-Cola Company, Rod Aldridge from Atlantic Bottling Company, and I'm also glad that Angela Davis is here from the Iowa Beverage Association. Thank you for allowing this opportunity. And just a little bit more background on the Sprite Parks Park project. The mission of the program, as I said, is to refresh neighborhood basketball courts across the country so adults and teens alike are inspired to go outside and get some activity. The 2012 Sprite Spark Parks project, that is kind of a tough thing to say, it is a tongue twister, is a partnership between Sprite and the National Recreation and Park Association to get 25 basketball courts in different cities across the country back in the game. And as indicated, this is the second grant that Des Moines has been awarded, so we're very proud of that. And it just shows that the community was actively involved because it was based on votes and submissions sent in. Through the program, Sprite donated $275,000 this year, and the grants ranged anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. And Evelyn K. Davis Park is a recipient of one of the $15,000 grants. The funds have been used to refurbish rims, backboards, lights, benches, playing surfaces, and just basically sparking new life into these parks and into these neighborhoods. Our hope is that these refurbished parks will inspire the generations, the younger generations of people to come to get outside and be active. The program is part of Coca-Cola's Live Positively and Sustainability program. And it's our hope that through this program, we will share the importance of physical fitness, building active and healthy lifestyles in our communities, and encourage adults and young people to play and have fun in venues like Evelyn K. Davis Park. So to the members of the community, we hope you enjoy the newly restored space that is to come for many years to come. And with that, I guess this time I would like to present the check. And unless there's any comments or questions.
Just one comment. On behalf of our board, our staff, and the city, we are very grateful for this donation, and we thank you. We can't do all the improvements we want, managing 72 parks with limited funds and tight times for the city. This is a great improvement for our community, so again, thank you, and if anyone else has a comment, I'd like all of you to come out to receive a check and take a picture with us.
Okay, great.
Take a little break, we'll all go out there and get a little photo op here and receive a big check.
For a photo op. I was back.
Sir.
It could just be.
He's bringing his twin granddaughters.
I guess.
So that's where he's at.
I'm going to assume. We're open out. We're on TV all the time.
Come on up. Let's get all of you out here.
Grab that in. Do you want to presenting this too?
Maybe come forward a little bit so you can see here, please. There you go. All right. I can't see your head.
There you go. Wants to say Sprite on 3 or?
Say Sprite for a car.
Yeah. Try.
Okay, thank you, John, and the rest of the team. It was a great presentation, and we really appreciate the funds. It will go to a good cause. Okay, next, let's take a look at the minutes from the November meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second?
Any questions, changes, corrections, additions to the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes of November are approved. Next, we'll move on to Ben's report.
Great. Well, I'll ask Kevin Moran to come up and open up the Tower Park concept planning. The Tower Park Neighborhood Leadership Group has been working with us to make some amendments and changes to some master planning and some concepts I'd like to see as improvements as we work forward to making improvements in that park.
Thank you, Ben. Chairman Galway, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Kevin Moran, Senior Park Planner. Tonight, talk about the Tower Park Master Plan. It was included in your packet, and as you can tell by the date, it has been a few years ago. I'm going to go briefly over the history of how we got to be with this plan, talk about some of the improvements we've been doing, and then what's been kind of happening over the last couple of months with the neighborhood. We went through a master plan process with this back in September of 2005. Kind of went through what the neighborhood wanted, what they desired. Part of it was driven by our new wading pool for this area. Obviously, budget-wise, things had happened since then. But as we looked at the wading pool and the location within the park, we came to the realization that a facility such as this requires a lot of parking. We get a lot of visitors, and one thing the neighbors didn't really want was having a lot of extra traffic on 50th Street. And so what has kind of turned around as we worked through this process was this parking lot agreement that's shown there with the church. We had to work through that process. And so that kind of delayed it a little bit. We also came to the point where the property on Hickman there, 4900 Hickman, became available. They approached the city. The gentleman living there recently passed away as we were going through this process. His relatives approached the city, wanted to know if we wanted to buy that property. Of course we wanted to, and so that was another issue that kind of came up as we were working through this process. And so in March of 2006, we sent a letter out to the residents stating that because of these concerns, until we could get some of these things finalized, we were going to have to kind of push and delay back the wading pool as we went through it. Back in June of 2006, we came up with this plan. It kind of took a lot of activities and kind of worked through a concept. Again, help with a lot of the residents that showed to those public meetings. Tom Velasquez, the council member, was there looking through the sign-in sheets. Dick Murphy was also attending a couple of those meetings, so we had a lot of good input as we went through that. Any questions so far on the master plan? To date, what we've done so far is we were able to, again, as I mentioned, remove that house, incorporate that part of the park, which added 0.9 acres to the parcel. We also were able to regrade the soccer field. That was because it was in disrepair, was overused, and our staff went in, regraded that, got it leveled, a nice playing surface. We also added some trees, landscaping-wise, around the perimeter, as we were talking about, removing some fence around the baseball diamond and trying to improve that area. Same time as we were doing all this, T&T was doing some traffic studies, looking at where a signal along Hickman was going to be with the park. They worked with us and our neighborhood groups, and it came out to be 48th Street was where the signal was installed. We also added a new park entrance sign to the park off of Hickman. As I mentioned, the fence and everything, planting, and then we did some other repairs to the maintenance of the facilities to keep them upgoing and ongoing maintenance. So a lot of the things have been happening. One recent thing that's also happened was last winter, we had a fire at the restroom building. We're not sure what the cause of it. It did look suspicious, but it was actually a year ago today. And that really took a big hit out of that facility because it did damage some of the structure. And so as we were working through, that was what the group wanted to talk to us about. You know, do they want to put that back in there as a restroom? We're looking at possibly reprogram it to some type of shelter, but again, very conceptual with the master plan here. Moving forward, we're looking at funding in the next 6 years. We do have funding in certain accounts, and some of them take care of basketball courts, tennis courts, playgrounds. As we look through the prioritization throughout the system, the Tower Park basketball court shown here in the middle, being relocated to the east side of the park, is possibly one of the top contenders for fiscal year 15. And so that's kind of in the near future. But with the wading pool and all the other amenities, you know, as the master plan was getting finalized, the franchise fee was on the list of everybody's concerns, as it is still today. And so that's where some of those funding issues went to. Bring us back to current day, we actually had Jason Pulliam with the Merle Hay neighborhood contacted me. He had a group he was getting together. A lot of new board members get turned over. Again, this process was a few years ago. I went in, talked to him, explained where we came about, what were the ideas with these certain issues here, talked to them about it, what their concerns were. We also had another neighborhood meeting at their quarterly neighborhood, and so we got did a quick little exercise to help the people prioritize what they'd like to see in the near future and the long-term future. And so we've been kind of doing that just here recently, and Jason and his group are here tonight to kind of fill you in with some of their information they provided in your packets. So if there's nothing else, can answer any other questions, I'll be here. Otherwise, I'll let Jason Pulliam stand up. All right. Jason?
Good afternoon, Jason Pulliam, 2113 52nd Street. Chairman Galloway, Director Page, board members and staff, thanks so much for having us here this evening. We appreciate the opportunity to discuss ideas for improving Tower Park. We're really energetic and enthusiastic about this effort, and look forward to your thoughts and suggestions on how we can make Tower Park a truly special place. My wife and I live about 2 blocks from Tower Park, and we've lived in the neighborhood for a little over 5 years now, and we use the park a few times a week when we're out on dog walks and such. Rest assured, we keep them on leashes and we take bags with us, so no issues there. But one of the things that's always stood out for us when we go through Tower Park is just the amount of untapped potential there. And I think it's fair to say that that's a pretty widely agreed upon sentiment in the northwest side of Des Moines. So here in recent months, the Merle Hay Neighborhood Association got together with Kevin and just started talking about where things were at with the master plan, and we decided that it would be good to form a citizens committee to take another look at the master plan, see what ideas we liked, and maybe what's things we weren't so keen on. And while we were doing that, we thought it was really important to bring in residents from other neighborhoods. So we reached out to the Waveland Park Neighborhood Association, the Beaverdale Neighborhood Association. We even had participation from Lower Beaver. And our thought all along the way was, what's good for one of us is good for all of us. And, you know, the level of interest has been impressive, and to be quite honest, I think it's pretty inspiring because you have a lot of folks coming together willing to offer their time and talents to help raise money, help do anything they can to realize some of these projects at Tower Park. And obviously from an open space and recreation standpoint, the benefits of these improvements are clear, but the benefits go beyond that. You look at the street that Tower Park is located on, one of the most important corridors in Des Moines, Hickman Road. Anything that we can do to spur improvements on that corridor is going to be good for the greater Northwest side. So we're thinking about this both in park and recreation terms and also revitalization terms. You know, we think these improvements are worth doing. We think they're worth doing right. We don't want you to think that we're coming here with a list of demands and with our hand out. We are extending a hand, and it's a helping one. And we look forward again to helping, to working with the park board and city staff to help realize Tower Park's fullest potential. I've got a few other friends here who are going to say a few words. So, turn it over.
Bill Gray, 4617 Franklin. I'm actually in the Beaverdale neighborhood, but as you can tell, 47th and Franklin, we're a block away. I think I can bring a little bit of perspective to the area because I've been living in my house for 30 years, so I've had the opportunity of, when I was in high school, playing there, so that was the mid-60s. We played softball, we even ice skated there back in those days. As I grew up and got over to my 30 years over on Franklin, I've had the opportunity to take all my kids over there, and they've learned to play and everything. And now my wife and I get to take the grandkids on over. So, you know, there's a pretty good interest and a vested interest that I have in it because it does mean a lot to us. I've been a long-time member of the community. I really like this park. And what's unique about this park, as Jason pointed out, it's off in the northwest section of the city. There's not any parks close by. In our view, we'd probably have to go to Ashby Park, probably Beaverdale Park for us to find any park areas in comparable shape. And this one is really unique because as opposed to some of these other parks that we have in the city, you know, like you talked about Ashby, Beaverdale, Union Park, and even McRae, this is a lot of open space. It's well served for the area that it's in. We don't have a whole lot of trees that will break up what we want to do for any type of entertainment. So what I'm here to talk about is, you know, we've got a very good jewel here. And in the 30 years that I've been there, the city has, let's say, kept their expenses down and trying to keep the upkeep over there. So what we're trying to do is the new amenities that we want to put in there, we don't want to shortchange ourselves in the short term. This park is going to be here for many years to come. It's going to serve a lot of the residents very well, and I just want to make sure that we don't cut ourselves short trying to put in substandard things to get by. I was on the 2006 committee as well. I remember when the gentleman whose house we bought to tear it down, the guy just wanted to live out his life there, and he'd take it, and I thought he's practically almost going to give it to the city. So I just hope we all take into account that this is a very unique park. It's in a strategic location. It's going to be a magnet for all the people, for not only Beaverdale, Merle Hay, and Waveland Park. We need to make sure that we don't shortchange ourselves in the process. So I'm going to ask if we can get this. I mean, I'd like to see this thing done over a 3 to 5 year period, but let's put the money there and let's get it done. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carrie Vance, and I live at 1440 46th Street. So I'm in the Waveland Park neighborhood. So I'm a direct neighbor of the Merle Hay neighborhood. And I guess my family, I have 3 kids. They're small. We do a lot of bike riding. We live in Waveland Park, so we spend a lot of time at the cemetery. We have a strange neighborhood where we have over 50% open space in our neighborhood, but we don't have a neighborhood park. So Tower Park is our neighborhood park, but unfortunately, it doesn't really draw very many of me, my family, or my neighbors, just because the amenities are lacking and the upkeep is just not enough to really draw people in. So we spend a lot of time around the library. We spend a lot of time on the new trail by the cemetery, but it just doesn't pull us over to Tower Park, and that's really unfortunate because it is a really amazing space. And the things that we would love to see are, of course, a new wading pool, because the wading pool is the biggest draw for the summer months. You can just look at Ashby Park and see the cars up and down the street. You can't even get in there some days. You can see that just draws so many people to the parks. We have other ideas as well, though, for a park of this caliber. We were hoping to see, and a lot of the neighbors had responded really well to the idea of a natural playscape in Tower Park. We were looking at the example that Jester Park provides. They have a natural playscape that was implemented a few years ago, and it has drawn a lot of people that come to Jester Park just simply to go to the natural playscape. It gets a lot more use than the traditional playgrounds at Jester Park. So we were hoping to see something implementing earthworks, berms, swales, creative plantings of grasses and other native plants that could be really eye-catching, they could be cost-effective, and they would also tie in well with these ecological goals the city's pursuing by building this LEED certified building at the Franklin Library just down the street. So we'd love to see a tie-in between that new library that draws so many families, a trail, the trail could be continued from right behind the library to this park, and you would get so much more traffic in this park. I think it would really activate the park. We also really want to keep an eye on the water tower. We think it's a great feature. It's really underutilized. The area of that part where the water tower is not welcoming at the moment, but the Hazen Tower is a unique structure to Des Moines. It's a valuable architectural landmark, and with the addition of some ornamental trees, we were thinking of walking paths, maybe even some interpretive signage that would explain what Hazen Tower is and that it is a unique and historical feature. We could really activate this part of the park and give it maybe an arboretum-like feel and just a really welcoming part, be a real welcoming part of the park. I remember as a child, I used to go to First Federated Church as a child, and I would look over at the water tower and think it was so amazing, but think I wasn't allowed to go there because that area just, to kids, it doesn't look like you're allowed there. So anyway, those are some of our ideas. Thanks for your time.
Hi, I'm April Beck. I'm at 2800 62nd Street, so I'm in the Merle Hay Neighborhood Association. The neighborhoods around there, they've really done a lot to improve the neighborhood and the look and the feel of the neighborhood and improve their homes. As is proof with the Merle Hay corridor improvements, a lot has really happened around Merle Hay Mall in the last few years. And also the neighborhood finance loans. The Merle Hay area has had 293 loans at $13.9 million going into the area. Beaver's had 42 loans at $1.3 million, Lower Beaver 22 loans at $1.5, and Waveland Park 162 loans at $12.1. That shows that the neighborhoods are all wanting to improve their space, and they really want to draw people to the area, and part of those are new home loans. And so that's new people coming to the area, and the park improvements at Tower Park would really go a long ways in making that whole area, not just the Merle Hay area, but all the surrounding neighborhoods, a beautiful place to go. The Tower Park area also provides a number of different things for the community. You know, it provides exercise, it provides beautification of that Hickman corridor with improvements, of course, and entertainment, and then community support, because there's a lot of sporting groups that use that area for their games and for their practices. And so, you know, keeping that park with that big open space so that it can be utilized for that is very important. And the communities are not only willing to give input on what they like, they're also willing to assist in fundraising and actually even willing to assist in man-hour labors. Just helping in whatever way we can to improve the park and the surrounding area. So, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Great report. Jason, excellent presentation. Bill, ditto. Carrie, good report. And April, nice presentation there. Does anybody have any questions for any of them?
I guess I have a comment. I really appreciate the fact that you've all come tonight to talk to us and that you have the passion you do for this park and your various neighborhoods and what it means. And it sounds to me like Kevin, has been communicating with you guys, and you're sort of going through a reprioritization process. And obviously with limited funding, and Kevin mentioned something about an improvement in the lower corner. I don't know if after the prioritization has happened, if the wading pool ends up being on the top, and if there's a way to take funds that were potentially for one improvement and move it over to another. I don't know, but it sounds to me like you guys are doing what you need to do, which is communicating with the staff, and staff is doing what they do so well, which is engaging with the community and bringing in other people and getting ideas to move forward. And I appreciate that you're willing to offer the fundraising aspect, and I'd say it's the public-private partnerships that are going to make things happen, especially moving forward right now. So, it's you're doing what you need to do. We need to prioritize, and we need to look at where the capital improvement budget is and where Tower Park is in that process of the CIP budget, and see what can start happening with your help. So thanks for caring.
Good comment, Marion. Anybody else?
I'd like to say it's certainly rewarding on behalf of our staff to have a group of citizens that not only are passionate like you are, but actually understand the value of parks and what they play for their neighborhoods. You mentioned the economic development issues. You mentioned just the health and wellness of your neighborhood. Those are all great impacts, too, that we appreciate you understand. One thing that we'll do now is that we've heard this, it's good timing for us, is that the capital budget process is going to start real soon again. And we'll look at the 6-year plan for the city. As you can imagine, there's lots of neighborhoods that want to have park makeovers, and we're trying to make sure that we equally distribute the funds as fair as possible, and they're very limited, to be real honest, but we'll do our best. And I do, again, appreciate what Marion said, is that when Jason said he's up here to put his hand out, was to shake our hand to be a partner, not to ask for money, and that if you can help us, we'll start to strategize with you behind the scenes and here in a couple staff meetings on what we can do to maybe find some of those public-private partnerships. So again, thank you, and we look forward to these opportunities.
Okay, and then I had a question too. I assume you've reached out to the waterworks and talked to them.
Yeah, we have had preliminary discussions with Waterworks. We approached them actually about another project along Merle Hay Road. They have a standpipe out there as well. And in the context of those discussions, it was agreed that they were interested. Actually, the board at this point, it appears like they're really receptive to the idea of improving the fencing around the tower. And I think long ago they made the commitment to have their portion of the property open for park and recreation uses. So we've been keeping them posted, and very, very receptive and supportive. So.
Okay, great. And I assume also you've made contact with the church there? See if-
Have not had direct contacts with them, but certainly as we continue discussions going forward, there are a number of groups that we still need to reach out to. We've been trying to get as many folks as we can, but knowing full well that we're not getting everybody all at once, so, but certainly reach out to them.
Right, there may be something that can be done there together. As Ben said, we have park master plans that are backed up for 10 years or even longer, so we can't just 100% fund this and tell somebody else who's been waiting for 10 years to, oh, well, you got to wait because Tower Park cut in line here. So anything you could work out as far as partnerships with other entities would really help your project move along.
Absolutely.
We have Sprites out there, we'll look to them and
Yeah,
get you
hey,
a basketball court.
our ears perked up when we saw that
was good
presentation,
timing.
so, yeah. Well, thanks again for all your time. We appreciate it.
Okay, great presentation, and we'll look forward to being in touch down the road. Thanks for coming.
Well, these next few items, we made a little cheat sheet for you because I know how it is to sit up here and try to listen and pay attention, write down dates and times. So there is a cheat sheet here on the table for you. And with that said, I'll have Barb Baker come up and hit the next two items for you.
Good evening, Chairman Galloway, members of the Park Board. I'm Barb Baker, Programming Supervisor, and I'm going to speak about the Jingle Bell Party. So for many that attend our event, this is the only form of a family gathering, if you'll look at the picture, that they will have. And so we try and make it really fun, be very positive, and have a great night with it. We have two of them. The first one's this Thursday, 6. We'll begin at 6. We have live reindeer. There's a sleigh and elves and Santa's there. You can get pictures with the live reindeer. And we have bounce houses for the kids to play in. We have Santa games in the gyms for the children to play as they wait in line to come see Santa. And we have snack sack decorating, so you'll decorate your sack that you're going to take home your healthy snacks in, which is an apple, orange, and banana. And the participants tell us they really enjoy this because fruit is something they cannot afford to purchase, so they love the healthy snacks. After they make their snack sack, they go in, they see Santa, they get the marine toys for tots. And then they go out and get their healthy snack. They go back out and they can see the reindeer again and take pictures, great photo opportunities. And again, as I said, this is something where these folks would not have Christmases or holiday season without these events. First one is this Thursday at 6. The next one is Monday, week from tonight, at 6 at 4 Mile. This Thursday is at Pioneer Columbus Community Center. Any questions? Yes, Marion?
How many kids usually?
Oh, this year we have, at Pioneer Columbus, about 150 children are signed up to come, which means another 2 to 5 people come per child. So there'll be shortly under 15 or 500 at 4 Mile. Or at Pioneer Columbus. Now, next Monday, we have over 200 signed up for 4 Mile, in addition to the parents, family members, siblings that come and enjoy the night with us too. And these are for 14 and under. And so we've had pre-registration, and so we're just kind of ready, and we're just waiting for this to happen. So, any other questions?
What time is 4 Mile?
They begin at 6, and then, as you can see, with 4 Mile is next. 4 Mile. Yes, 4 Mile is next Monday, and so we begin at 6, and they have almost 200 children signed up. We try and give them a minute or shortly under a minute with Santa, so there's 200 minutes right there. So some will scoot through a little faster than that. It depends on if they, yeah, I know, it is a wow. It's, if you haven't been, it's very rewarding to see this and see the people and the families that's come. Some of them come in socks or their pajamas, flip-flops in the winter when there's snow on, so. It's a great, rewarding experience. So if you're not doing anything and you want to come, I'd be happy to give you a little job, or you can just come and wander around.
If anybody's listening or on the board that's looking for a great volunteer project that's very rewarding, I can't think of many more that's more rewarding. I personally did this last year. A lot of the staff in the audience, as well as the ones that aren't here tonight, volunteered to do this too. It's one of the most rewarding things we do as a team all year. It's fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Barb. Thanks for letting us know about that.
Brian Becker, you have the next three.
Chairman Galloway, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Brian Becker, Park and Recreation Superintendent. Next three slides, we're going to go over some registration information on 3 different programs that we have all open right now. Registration for adult indoor Wiffleball ends December 28th. The cost is $25 per team. Leagues begin January 6th, and that's an 8-week schedule. Adult volleyball leagues, registration also ends December 28th. Cost is $175 per team. Play begins January 6th, and that's a 10-week program. And lastly, our PeeWee Basketball, ages 3 to 6, registration also ends December 28th. The cost is $40 per person, per child. 3 and 4-year-olds begin Tuesday, January 22nd, and the 5 and 6-year-olds begin Thursday, the 24th. That's a 5-week program. If there's any questions? Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Brian. Thanks for letting us know.
Jen Fletcher's next to talk about the father-daughter dance.
Chairman Galloway, members of the Park Board, Jennifer Fletcher, Marketing Supervisor, here to talk to you about the annual father-daughter dance. We've got 3 dates again, Friday, February 1st, Friday, February 8th, and Thursday, the 7th. We're at the Blank Park Zoo Discovery Center again. We're going to do photos with the daughters and the dads, and people can kind of get a behind-the-scenes tour of the zoo. There'll be refreshments and a DJ and things like that. Tickets go on sale January 8th. We've got $15 a couple and $2 for each additional daughter. And it should be a good time. We get around 250 people per night, so it's a really sweet little event. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks for telling us about that, Jen.
Well, this weekend we had a little bit of snow, but not enough to open up sledding for our policy at 2 of our most favorite sledding destinations, Waveland Golf Course and Bright Grandview Golf Course. So we thought it'd be a great time to remind the public that we open those sledding hills at those 2 facilities when there's 4 inches of snow, uniform depth throughout the courses. And that's to protect the greens, the tees, and the turf out there. So once there's 4 inches of uniform depth across the golf courses, those will open for the season. Next we have, if there's no questions, we have Ron Ward.
Chairman Galloway, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Ron Ward, Parks Manager. Ben wanted me to just give you a little update on some of the things we've been able to get done with the unseasonable weather we've had of being dry and warm. Before I get into the list of the various crews, one thing that, even though it's been nice, one of the things that kind of hampers us a little bit is we've got a lot of employees that over the last couple of years have built up a lot of comp time with flooding, snow, the snow we had a couple years ago, droughts. So we're trying to work to get all them down to around 40 hours so we don't have that liability on us. So some of the things that we've been able to get done this fall that normally we wouldn't have been able to because the weather wouldn't have allowed us is the ornamental crew has done some weeding and stump cleanup at the Lilac Garden, and they've also done some tree pruning at Simon Estes, Western Gateway, Hanson Triangle, and along Martin Luther King. The grounds crew was able to get a lot of their leaf mulching and leaf pickup done earlier than they ever did, which also allowed them to get out and do some aerifying in some of the park turf areas, which they hadn't had time to get to for several years because they wouldn't get the leaves up, and then it would snow and the leaves would be matted down. They wouldn't be able to aerify, so they've been able to get some of that work done. And one of the things that they've realized they've had to do more this year, because our contractor that does our restroom and litter pickup, trash pickup, is done. Our contract, we have them stop on October 15th. Well, it's been nice beyond that, and that puts that back on us. So there's been more litter pickup and trash pickup because it's been nice out and people are still using the parks. And some of we got some grass seed down in various areas, and we thought maybe it'd be, dormant seeding, but it's had time to grow and come up, and it's in good shape now for the winter. So that was a plus. The natural resources crew has been working on doing some invasive plant removal, including buckthorn, honeysuckle, and garlic mustard. They've sprayed some reed canary grass and broadleaf weeds in various places. They did some tree line cleanup at Gray's Lake, and they've done some prep work for some dormant seeding that we're going to be doing this winter. The heavy equipment crew was able to get some grading work done at Good Park, Columbus Park, and Evelyn Davis Park. And then they've been working a lot at the former fire training center, or the Lomar building, where all the park maintenance operations are going to move to temporarily. And there was some work we had to do there. We had to put in a temporary parking lot. And then that building, since it was a warehouse, it had a loading dock at the one end, which didn't allow for us to be able to drive in the equipment in trucks in one end of the building and drive out the other because it was a loading dock. So we filled that loading dock area in, so we'll be able to circulate right through the building. The skilled trades crew has also been working a lot at the Lomar building, getting some things up to code, electric, and doing some carpentry work and some painting work in there to get that building ready for us. And they also started working on an inventory of the condition of some of the park buildings in terms of the paint, the roofs, the concrete siding, the utilities, that type of thing. And then finally, the cemeteries have been able to, if you've been by on Woodland, they did some landscaping work at the front entrance, getting everything all ready to plant. They've been able to continue to do monument foundations, which normally they would have had to stop by now, but then that would get all backed up and they'd have to get them done in the spring. So they've been able to do a lot of that and keep going on that. They cleaned out and reorganized the outdoor maintenance shed at Glendale. And then they've also installed, and Marlene told me it was 115 posts, they've installed new block posts to put signs on to designate the different blocks in Woodland and St. Ambrose. So, is there any questions?
Dick?
How are we doing on water at the cemetery for the line?
Take that one.
Along
Yeah, Board Member Thornton's asking about some failed water lines that were set up throughout Glendale Cemetery to serve folks that bring their water plants in front of their loved ones' monuments. That line did fail in a variety of spaces a few years back, and as you can imagine, it's very pricey to go in to fix that, because when it would be normally easier to do when you have nothing in your way, but with all the monuments and vaults underneath the ground, you just can't go in and start trenching to find what you need to repair. We've made a determination at this point with our CIP that's not a high priority. We've done some things that were stopgap solutions to have little water barrels. Marlene is researching the ideas of doing something a little fancier, it looks a little nicer, that goes with the look and feel of Glendale Cemetery. So at this point, our early estimates were just too pricey. We were talking in the $200,000 to $300,000 range for water line replacements, and we just couldn't put that value with our limited funds to doing something like water lines when we could do something different. So we're looking at a variety of ways to make a nice repair, though.
So we still have the barrels?
Yeah, look at doing something nice, maybe even a nice, we haven't come to a conclusion yet, so I don't want anybody to get their hopes up, but we are working actively behind the scenes. One idea we had was a nice water feature when you pull in. It's actually a fountain, but also serves as a place to get your water. So something different. Mm-hmm. Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ron? Okay, good report, Ron.
So the last item is the cemetery ordinance amendments in progress. I think that we just wanted to make sure again that since we are making some changes to some long-standing ordinances, that we have it one more time on the agenda for those at home listening, as well as we have some new board members here. And again, we do have subcommittees, and we're always looking for people to serve on subcommittees. At our last meeting, I know that Joe had offered to be on that committee to make sure we get the ordinances to a point where everybody felt comfortable from the board perspective. But if there's anybody else with our two new board members, now that they know about this, they're welcome to be on the subcommittee. In the meantime, I'll make sure I'll probably just blanket all of you and send that out one more time, since we do have some new board members here. So if you keep it in your email box at the top.
All right, that'll be the tentative draft of the proposed ordinance changes. That's before City Legal has made its review, but at least it's a starting point if you wanted to get a head start in seeing what some of the ideas were and as far as changing the ordinance, rather than waiting until the very end and then saying, oh, here it is, look at it for the first time.
So what's your time frame in terms of getting it done? I mean, what?
I think we'll probably have at least one, maybe two more meetings with the advisory committee to go over these things, and likely in the month of January, just because of the fact that the Christmas holiday is upon us. It's hard to get everybody's schedules together. And then we have a lot on Ann's plate, as you can imagine. We have some major agreements that the city manager has a priority on, but she'll start to get some free time, hopefully, if we can knock off some of these other ones.
And I need to meet with Marlene now that she's back.
Yep, and we'll meet with Marlene.
From the cemetery division.
Great. Yep. So we'll probably work on this over the winter months and early spring months, and hopefully sooner than later, but.
Okay.
Okay, any questions about Ben's report or any questions about anything that they'd like to ask Ben at all on any subject?
I have a question. I should have asked it when they were still here. How do people know about the Jingle Bell parties? How do we even advertise that or
Ask Jen to come up and talk about that. While she's coming up, we normally have press releases, social media, event calendars on the website, or the Easy 3 that we do, as well as, word of mouth. Those programs have been going for a while, so.
Good.
Jen, did I miss anything?
Kind of.
All right. Correct me where I went wrong.
Jen Fletcher, marketing supervisor. Just wanted to let you know, we didn't actually promote it because we had such a good response. I was told, I was all ready to queue up a big deal, and they held me back. They've given flyers to the schools, and that's how they got the registrants.
Good.
So.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions to Ben about anything? Okay, good report, Ben. Next, we'll move on to item A for board action, the Park and Recreation Chapter 74 amendments.
Well, in your packet again is the narrative communication as well as the ordinance changes and strikeouts and underlines. As you know, these things, I'm glad we have a 2-month process with you, and sometimes we need more than that, but these things happen over time. Word gets on the street, people have some questions, so we try to highlight some changes or alterations are in yellow between the last time you looked at this and now. So that's as good news as I can go over these, or I can answer questions of what the yellows, where they changed at. So I'll open it for your questions on these fee changes.
Ben, I have one question on, and I do appreciate the amendments that were made. I think they're very good. But 7492.
Yes.
Sub D, it must be a change from the Park and Recreation Director. Can we amend that but and put more as designee? Is that okay?
He's always been the director.
Are you thinking in an event that I'm not available or out of town or something?
Yeah.
Typically when that happens, just like when Doc was here, he would leave an acting director in charge if he went on vacation. So we usually are covered or something like that. So.
Okay. Forgive my
No, that's good comment. Again, there's still more public process to happen before these become in the change in ordinances for us. The city council will have to set the hearing, and then typically they'll take up to 3 readings. I may ask them to waive the last one if I see nothing at the first reading that alarms me, to make sure that we didn't get the word out, but we're in no rush at this point. It just helps us get these fees out sooner or later so the public can know, and we can update all of our literature to make sure the prices are current.
Any other questions or comments? For the benefit of Dan and Joe, I realize we're catching you cold here. The rest of us have seen this over the period of several months and given our feedback. And I know you probably haven't had enough time to really look at this carefully. If after tonight you think of something or see something, get a hold of Ben or get a hold of me, and we'll pass that along, because as Ben said, this is not, even though we're voting on it tonight, this is not the end of the trail. It still has to go to city council. So if there's something where you say, oh my goodness, there's still an opportunity to tweak this even after tonight. And of course, that goes for anybody else on the board. If you think of something later, there's still an opportunity to catch the train before it gets to the end of the road, even after tonight. Okay, does anybody else have anything about this?
So moved.
Second?
Further discussion? Are we ready to vote? Rebecca, would you call the roll, please?
Galloway.
Yes.
Gelb.
Yes.
Vogel.
Yes.
Bacto.
Yes.
Haney Vanderhaar.
Yes.
Nolan.
Yes.
Hassick. George.
Yes.
Scavo.
Yes.
Thornton. Jungle Ward.
Yes.
Chen.
Yes.
It is approved. Okay, that completes the official part of our agenda. Are there any reports, announcements, or anything else for the good of the cause?
I appreciate the staff that included that the grasp programs percentage was. Overall, it's 1%, but it looked like swim lessons used heavily. Exceed 1/3 of it, and the season swimming passes, it's exceed 50%. Thank you.
Thanks for asking about that, Cindy. Anything else from anybody?
I guess I just wanted to comment that I think the staff is doing just a superior job as always. I mean, very impressed with all the work.
Right, I agree completely. I think that reflects everybody's opinion.
We certainly appreciate your support. It's a great place to work. We do have a great team. We're proud of the work we do, and it's a tight team. So I'm glad you can see that.
And you might want to say something about the...
Just before you leave, we have your annual poinsettia I want you to take with you on the way out here. They're wrapped up, so make sure that you get them home straight because they don't do very well in the cold.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I even have
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. See everybody next year.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.